My name is Pradeep Rajan, and I'm Associate Editorial Director for Asia Pacific Shipping and Freight. Today, let's discuss a very important move by the International Maritime Organization, which is trying to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emission from international shipping by 2050. IMO is trying to realize this ambitious goal through a combination of regulatory measures, economic incentives, and technological advancement. To achieve this, the IMO has developed a draft regulation known as the Net-Zero Framework, which is designed to implement mandatory emissions limits and greenhouse gas pricing for the shipping sector. This framework is scheduled for formal adoption by October 2025, which is almost 2 months from now, with implementation starting in 2027. And as per this framework, large ships above 5,000 gross weight tonnage, which account for around 85% of total shipping emissions, must comply with the annual greenhouse gas fuel intensity, or GFI, reduction targets. And the GFI reduction targets are known as basic target and direct compliance target, which are mainly derived from a guideline of greenhouse gas emission in the year 2008, which was set at 93.3 grams of CO2 equivalent per megajoule of energy. But these targets are structured progressively to reduce emissions over time to meet IMO's long-term goal of decarbonization. So how do vessels comply with this basic and direct compliance targets? To attain the basic target, which is the minimum mandatory reduction level that the IMO sort of aligns with its checkpoint goals, a vessel will have to cut emission by 20% by 2030 and a 70% reduction by 2040. It's even more stringent when it comes to the direct compliance target, which is IMO's aspirational goal, and that requires a 30% reduction by 2030 and an 80% reduction by 2040. Now, the question is, how does IMO price the emissions? The ships that exceed the GFI threshold as per the basic target will have to pay $380 per ton of carbon dioxide CO2 equivalent emitted. Or if the vessel meets the basic target, it ends up paying $100 per ton of CO2 equivalent emitted. And this pricing mechanism has been thought through to incentivize the adoption of cleaner fuels, technologies, and innovations for attaining decarbonization. But the big question mark and the elephant in the room is, how is this proposed IMO's net zero framework going to impact the freight market, which is what a person like me would be interested and would worry me. Given the fact that to attain decarbonization, there is a cost. We will start to see ship owners and the industry, as well as the maritime sector at large, working towards new technologies, trying to adopt cleaner fuels, which for sure is going to be more expensive. And who is going to bear that cost? Definitely, ship owners will try to pass on that to the charterers, and the charterers in turn will try to pass it on to the end users or consumers. So for instance, let's say color television moved on a container ship, which meets either the basic target or does not meet the basic target. If it meets the basic targets, it ends up paying only $100 per ton of CO2 equivalent emitted. Does not meet the basic target, it ends up paying $380 per ton of CO2 equivalent emitted. That cost will be quite high, which the end user or the customer will have to pay for, which you might see the goods that lands up at their stores being priced at a higher level. If you take in the case of tanker shipping, the cost of moving crude oil, the cost of moving refined products could also increase, given that the ships, if they don't meet the basic target, ending up at a higher freight cost. And the same could be said about other sectors of the shipping, like for instance, the dry bulk commodity, where ships move some of the major raw commodities, which are so important for global trade. Commodities such as iron ore, commodities such as steel, commodities such as bauxite, thermal coal, or metallurgical coal. You name it. All those cargoes that move on a ship that's above 5,000 gross tonnage, we might see a situation where higher freight cost could end up hitting the consumers on the higher side of their expenses. So we'll have to watch out the space. We'll have to watch out what's going to happen after October 2025 when this framework is formally adopted. Well, there'll be a lot of preparation that from 2025 October until 2027 Jan, when this regulations will kick in, ships will have to start preparing for it.